Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host with the most, Avriel32 here, and destroy the ever-living boo-boo stain off of that like and subscribe button as we climb even higher the 1500 ladder. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't care how many views this video gets. If it gets 10 views, 50 views, 100,000 views, I want this video to get shared out. More than any other video, I want you to share this video around, especially if you're going to a regional in an upcoming weekend or if you're going to YCS Orlando. This is a deck that has fallen into my lap that I have been messing around with, that if I wasn't already committed to Fiendsmith Rizal, I would be playing 5 minutes ago, because yes, the proudest of them all, White Duston, is actually busted, along with actually a card I forgot to throw into the deck, but maybe you've heard of it. It is called Dragon's Bind, because this card is absolutely insane, and there's a reason why I had all the normal monster dragon vanillas up on the screen. And that is because Dragon's Bind is actually such an insane card. Think about all of the decks right now, whether it's a Rizal variant, a Malice variant, maybe a Tenpai variant, something more rogue, tier 2, whatever the case may be. People are not really, at least majority, are playing any sort of back row hate. And so cards like Dragon's Bind, which is basically a Vanity's Emptiness 2.0 for dragons, can thrive and do well, especially with a card like Primite Drill Beam, and it just becomes insane. So what does Dragon's Bind do? So you can activate this card by targeting one dragon-type monster you control with 2,500 or less attack and defense. Neither player can special summon monsters with attack less than or equal to the original attack of that monster. When that monster leaves the field, destroy this card. So why is this busted? You can use any dragon in the game, preferably something that's not light or dark, because then it can get bite-stealed out of your graveyard, because you're usually going to dump it with the Primite Ether Barrel. You can dump it to the grave off of Ether Barrel, use the Lordly Load to revive it, and then in the opponent's draw phase, activate Dragon's Bind if you opened with it. And if you're not playing any sort of out, then how do you beat this card in game one? You know, there was a Rizal Fiendsmith Bysteel list I saw that was side decking 3 Dragon's Bind, but at that point you're relying on the Bysteel cards. You don't have a committed way to get a dragon onto the field in the form of Ether Barrel or even a vanilla for Drill Beam. So I saw this even on DB Grinder a couple days ago, where he was showing off someone playing the Primite Bysteel Fiendsmith deck, where it's basically this deck but with a Bysteel engine. And you can do, just off of Ether Barrel, you go Ether Barrel, set the load, Lordly Load, activate, search the Drill Beam, you do whatever plays you're going to do, and then at the end of your turn, since you'll be locked out of special summon monster effects, use the Lordly Load to summon out White Duston in defense, because it is the proudest of them all, and then you just pass turn, and your Drill Beam is live because you have a vanilla monster on the field. Drill Beam's effect, if you haven't kept up with the channel, because I have worked on the Primite stuff in the past, you reveal a Primite card or one normal monster in your hand except Drill Beam, or if you control a normal monster, which you will because of Lordly Load, then you can activate it without revealing a card. And then it's basically a disarray. You target a face-up card on the field, negate its effects, and if you do, banish it. During your main phase, if you control a Primite monster, you can set this card from your graveyard. Well, you're going to be getting back the Ether Barrel on your next turn to your hand. You can summon the Ether Barrel and then get your Drill Beam back. So you have infinite grind game in that regard. And of course, you've also got Primite Roar to guarantee that you get a special summon of a normal monster. Not even to mention if you want to play Howl and get the Engrave effect or Roar's effect to negate a summon. So now you have all these normal monsters that you can play, which it's also funny because if you want to flex and be that guy, you could play another Verse Dragon and just pray that the opponent doesn't have a Bysteel. But that is a way to use the Another Verse cards, technically. You could play something like Sarayu or Red Eyes, but they can be Bysteeled. So, well, you could play Ryuran, which is actually hilarious, but it's only 2,200 attacks. Like, if you want the highest attack stat monsters, you could go with, like, say, Watt-Tail Dragon. You could do Luster Dragon number 2 because it's a wind and it's got 2,400. You could do the original Luster Dragon, which is 1,900. Tyhone number 2 if you want to troll. Curse of Dragon is 2,000 attack, but it's a dark. Parrot Dragon's a wind, 2,000 attack. You could use Alexandrite Dragon because it's a light level 4, so like you can do, you know, rank 4 plays. Here's the original Luster Dragon. So you've got all these options available to you. If you wanted to troll, you could use like Baby Dragon, but it's only 1200 attack. You want something with high attack. And keep in mind that if the monster leaves the field, then this is no longer active. So, you know, if you can't protect it and like, I don't know, you get evenly matched or something, you're kind of boned, unless you just want to hold on to the Wave High King at that point. Or, you know, activate Drill Beam and hope that they don't have another one. So, anyway, I say all this because as someone who's going to YCS Orlando and I'm trying to prepare and playtest, and out of the blue, I just decided, you know what? Let me test this deck because I'm curious just to see what it can do. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm not BSing you. I know it seems weird, but every time I've played Dragon's Bind, it resolves and my opponent cusses me out, calls me a scrub, and rage quits. And like, I'm not playing against like dog shit players, right? Like, you know me, I'm on EDO Pro saying testing, meta only, YCS Orlando, like the whole bit, right? And like the things that you can do with this deck are nuts. You know, one of the biggest complaints that people have had with Bysteel, or not Bysteels, with Rizal and with Fiendsmith is that the extra deck is so tight that it's so tough to cut just one thing. With this, you've got all the space in the world. You could play Rex Tremende if you really wanted to. You could do Little Knight. You could play Access Code. That's why there's only 10 cards in this extra deck, because you could theoretically play a whole bunch of things. You could play Evil Zor Lars, which is a rank 6 Exceed you can go into with the Fiendsmith engine, and then you have a target negation in the form of Lars. You could do, actually what I saw someone doing with Dragon's Bind, it was actually the Rizal Bysteel Fiendsmith list where he was side decking 3 Dragon's Bind. He was playing the Odd Eyes Rampaging Dragon, the thing with 2500 attack, but it's a dragon, and then you like detach 1 or 2 materials and double its attack for the turn. So this goes by original attack. So even if you double it up to 5k, it's not all of a sudden the opponent can suddenly special summon, you know, like more or less bodies. It just stays at the original 2500. But Dragon Bind's insane. No one is playing for Floodgates right now. Like, how often do you see Floodgates coming down on the board in a meta deck, whether it's Tikaboo, Rivalry, even Anti-Spell? Like, I've only seen Anti-Spell once in a Rizal list, and it was side decked. And again, it's a one-of. So are you going to take the risk with trying to play a one-of Floodgate, or just play fucking 3 of them? And on top of that, too, this deck really doesn't lose to a whole lot of hand traps. Like, if you negate the Ether Barrel, depending on how you open, like, yeah, it sucks. But there's so much flexibility in this deck. Everybody is suddenly now moving to Droll and Lockbird, and of course Nibiru because it's a good card, but Droll totally shuts down the Rizal Mitsurugi deck and Rizal Fiendsmith to a lesser extent. So like, this deck doesn't care about Droll because you just summon the Ether, set the Lordly Load, activate Lordly Load, search for the Drill Beam, they Droll you, and you're like, okay, and like, if you're worried about Droll, you just do the Ether Barrel first before you even do Fiendsmith lines. And on top of that, guess what's also vanilla? Psy-Frame Driver. That means you could, in theory, play the Lambda Link monster in the extra deck so that your Gamma's live even if you have a body on the board, and then you can just dump the driver to the graveyard. Like, you could dump it to the grave off the Ether Barrel. Like, this is crazy. So I'm sure I'm going to get some quote-unquote pro players all upsetty spaghetti in the comments section if this video happens to blow up and be like, oh, you're showing off the goo, you're showing off the spice. I don't give a shit. Because look, at the end of the day, you're not going to fucking pants somebody with this deck, because it's not going to be me, and it's certainly not going to be someone that watches this damn video. Also, don't take this deck list for gospel. This is just like, this is literally a list I've had sitting on my EDO Pro account for like a couple of months. You don't play Kyrie, you don't play Tremende, you probably don't play Howl, you should just be playing 2-track. Like, cut this, cut this, cut this. I don't even know if you even need to play Gamma. Like, you definitely play White Dust on. And then the hand trap count is like whatever, because like you could play like, say, 1 Regain, 1 Lubellion, and like 9 to 10 other Bysteel monsters because you just don't care at that point. Like, it's basically Kashtira Fiendsmith 2.0. Like, that deck played like 21 to 24 hand traps, and then you played a small cash package along with a Fiendsmith package. So it's basically a Fiendsmith deck with a cash engine and just a bunch of hand traps. That's basically what this is. But you get the benefit of playing this broke ass Floodgate that's just Vanity's Emptiness 2.0. And I'm sure someone's going to say, oh, well, Avery, if, you know, they play out, say, I don't know, Luster Dragon number 2 with 2400, I'm just going to, I don't know, summon a Pankratops and run over it. I mean, you can, sure. Who's playing Pankratops right now before this video gets posted? Nobody, because Pankratops is garbage into Rizal. So like, why are you playing Pankratops? And so the point that I'm making is that everybody is preparing for Rizal. Everybody's preparing for Fiendsmith. Everybody is preparing for Mitsurugi, Malice, maybe even Tempai to a lesser extent. Like, everybody's preparing for all these decks, but then you got players who, and I have seen on both Dueling Book and EDO Pro, playing this baby back bullshit, and they are pantsing people left and right because of Dragon's Bind and Drill Beam, and being able to use Ether Barrel to get it back to your hand if you have a vanilla monster on your field or in your grave, which again you will because of the Lordly Load. You're going to have it on the board. And then the Dragon Bind is just targeting it, locking you out of game. So you're going to be getting back Ether Barrel. You're going to be getting back the Drill Beam because you're going to have access to the Ether Barrel on the field. You need to prepare for this deck. I don't care who gets pissed off at this. You should have known that this was going to happen. And so y'all need to be testing this. Like, if you want a build, literally take this build and just throw in like a Bysteel package of Lubellions, Druis Worm, Regains, and just start messing around with it. Throw in different vanilla monsters that aren't light or dark, that are dragons, and just start messing around with Dragon's Bind. Because, like, it's basically a free game 1 win. Because, like, outside of Detonator being able to pop this, which, okay, you went second, who cares? You have hand traps, they're probably not getting to that point anyway. How in the fuck are these people beating you when you have this card up? It's insane. So, guys, this has totally changed how I'm testing for YCS Orlando and trying to build my Rizal deck. I'm probably going to wait till after today to really solidify my build because I'm running out of time and I really got to figure out what I'm going to do. So guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below and give me ideas on how to beat this shit besides just like main decking or side decking back row hate. Like, back row hate kills this deck, and like negating Ether Barrel is pretty good depending on their opening hand, but we need more than just that. So guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.